JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 29th of June 2021. So yep, welcome everyone. Welcome to the to this Tuesday's morning session where we're gonna have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course, our JFD Bank website and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So check us out here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. So let's quickly go through a few instruments that we looked at recently and just to see how everything is getting along there. But yeah, the first one I want to pick up here is Nikkei 225, and as you can see, we have drifted back below the 21-day EMA here. Not significantly, but yep, we dropped back below it. We failed to move towards this downside line. Again, that's not critical yet. However, if it starts dropping somewhere below this 28,565 territory right here, this would also place the price below the 100-day EMA, and potentially more sellers could join in here and drag the index towards the 27,795-96 territory right here, which is marked by the current lowest point of June. So what we need here right now is basically, yes, to wait and see what's going to happen with this hurdle. If we're going to get a drop below it, then yes, lower levels could be met. If instead we start reversing back up again, so basically this would mean that we're just oscillating around the 21-day EMA, and yep, for the upside, guys, then still wait for a break of this downside line and a push above the 29,519 territory. So yeah, keep your eyes on that one. I can see in the chat room, Evo, yep, guten Morgen, good morning to you. Hope you're having a fantastic start of Tuesday. Basically jumping into Shanghai Composite here very quickly. So yeah, drifted to the downside. Yesterday I talked about the Shanghai Composite, and basically here I said that if we continue to trade above this upside line, then yes, there are more chances for this index to reverse and push higher. However, even if it breaks this upside line, still there's a little chance to rebound from the 21-day EMA and then gonna move higher. So that's the reason why I have this arrow here drawn like this. So first of all, what we can do here is we can get rid of this upside line, no longer needed. Now the main focus is going to be on this 21-day EMA, which if holds, yep, could attract more buyers and could send the index up again. However, in terms of up, I would only aim for the 3,626 territory for now, and then we'll see how it plays out after. If we break this, then yes, certainly higher levels could be met. But if we don't, then we'll have to reevaluate everything again. For the downside, if we drop somewhere below this 3,550 territory right here, now that's where, yes, it could open the door towards slightly lower levels, and we could see a push towards the 3,503 territory, which is around the 100-day EMA here, shown as the green line. So, and then of course, yes, it would be interesting to see if we can actually get a break of this area in order to consider maybe a larger correction here to the downside towards this upside support line and towards this 200-day EMA. So for now, long story short, we're keeping an eye on the 21-day EMA. The index is still running. It still has around 50 54, 53 minutes left. So yep, keep your eyes on that. But it seems that we might end up being in negative territory for today, and then it will be interesting to see how the next session is going to open up, and if we're going to continue to trade above that 21-day EMA. Now jumping into the German index DAX, and yeah, yesterday declined. It declined. However, it remained inside this pattern, I would say this triangle pattern, or in between the two lines, above the upside line but below the downside one. So yeah, there are a few indications that we could see a breakout here, and if we take a look at the cash index very quickly, we'll see that the price is currently on the cash index. Yep, it's currently sitting at around 15,563, 64, something like that. So basically not far from where it closed yesterday. So it seems that we could still be above this upside line, but to be honest, this is where I need to kind of adjust it a little bit. So there we go. If we capture these lows, then this picture looks this way. It looks a little bit on the bearish side. So basically that means that yesterday we had a bit of a closure here below this upside line. And that could raise concerns. So how we could play this one out here is basically, if we keep an eye on the downside resistance line, if it continues to provide a hold up, then yep, another slide could be possible. In terms of the downside, this is where I'll adjust my levels a little bit, and to be a little bit more on the safe side, a drop below this area here, the low of the 23rd of June, marked by the 15,456 level. If we get a drop below that area, then this is where it could increase the chances for a further decline. I mean, at the moment, guys, looking at the some of our oscillators here, you can see that there is a bit of weakness. We are we're still in positive territories. We're still in the momentum overall is still positive, but the fact that we are now pointing lower, that kind of raises a few concerns here, especially on DAX here. So, and if we again struggle to overcome this downside line, then well, I mean, a nice good slide here could be possible. So keep that in mind. For the upside, well, actually, probably let me just get rid of this upside line. Probably not as valid as it could be. Instead, I can reuse that, and I can put this on the chart here. So let's see if this ends up being something important here. Okay, so something like this still could be possible. So basically, this is where this level comes in nicely, this 15,456. So if we break below that, we would already be below this upside line taken from the low, the 26th of February of 2021, and then potentially, yep, this move could attract more sellers into the game. In terms of the upside now, in order to push higher, we would need to see a break of the downside line and then a push above the 15,676 territory, somewhere around here. This way, yep, potentially more buyers could join in. So again, keep that in mind. For now, that's the little game plan. Unfortunately, it's not as clear as we would like it to be, but let's try to squeeze something out of this. But and basically keep our eyes on some of these levels that I just mentioned. Now, Dow Jones Industrial Average. Now, the only index from the top three U.S. indices that closed in the red, although technology stocks were kind of driving the market yesterday to the upside. However, transportation and energy-related stocks did take a downturn, and of course oil dropped lower, and basically, yep, that resulted in Dow Jones kind of ending the trading session with a loss of around 150 points. So from the positive side, and from the technical side as well, we have managed to stay above the 21-day EMA, so that's kind of good news. Okay, so there is still hope that the index could reverse back up. However, probably here a few adjustments have to be done. And first of all, this upside line probably will get rid of it, and because it's just in a way, and mainly I'm going to focus right now on this downside line here, taken from the high of the 10th of May. In order to aim for the upside, of course, yes, a push higher would be a break of that downside line would be needed, and also maybe just for that extra confirmation, or actually depending on how we're going to draw this. Actually, let me just be very careful. So probably that's how it's going to stay here, because we're capturing this peak, and yeah. So the 34,500 level, that's what we're going to be keeping an eye on. If we nicely clear that level, then yes, this will confirm a forthcoming higher high, and potentially more buyers could join in. At the moment, with the upside, I will be very careful. I'll be cautious, and yeah, because if it suddenly starts falling below the 21-day EMA, then yep, potentially this could result in a bit of a larger correction here to the downside, guys. So yeah, keep that in mind. But for now, like I said, keep your eyes on this downside line as well. So let's see how this is going to play out. Now DXY, the dollar index, so it pushed a little bit north, however not significantly, and most importantly that it didn't really stay above the 92 territory, although it managed to overshoot it by just a fraction. Still, it wasn't able to stay above it and drifted back down. So now I would say that let's see how this 200-day EMA is going to play out, because so far the index is finding good support there, and if the price continues to trade above that 200-day EMA, then yes, another push higher could be possible. But as I said before, I need a push, and not only push, but also the daily candle staying above the 92 territory in order to aim for higher areas. For the downside, now here, what I need here is basically I need to see a drop below the 91.81 zone, and then yes, lower levels could be met, and basically then we could see maybe a bit of a larger correction to the downside. However, again, it's a little bit of a tricky one here, so I would say keep your eyes on the 91.81 zone for now. If we get a drop below this, then yes, certainly this could open the door towards some lower levels, but probably we would need to have a bit of a tight stop loss here, just in case this suddenly reverses and pushes higher again. So that's why, yeah, with the downside, be very careful, and with the upside, we could be a little bit more positive about it if we climb above that and stay above the 92 territory. Silver, very quickly on that. So silver, yes, still kind of not doing much, I would say. So it's trading still below this upside line, tentative of course, but nevertheless a long-term upside support line taken from the low the 18th of March. We're still below it. We're still below the 21-day and the 100-day EMAs. But we're still above the 200-day EMA. So, and that's why we're kind of stuck here a little bit. So there is a chance to, it's kind of a 50-50 game here a little bit. Although, don't get me wrong, I mean, because we're currently in this little consolidation, the prevailing trend was to the downside. So in a way, the continuation move could be lower as well, especially if the DXY starts pushing higher. Then yes, of course, this could have this negative effect on silver. Another thing to kind of mention here probably is that maybe, just maybe, if we can draw it correctly and nicely, we could be seeing maybe a nice triangle pattern here. So yeah, again, if let's say, to follow the logic that whenever we enter a range or a triangle pattern, and the prevailing trend was to the downside, for example, then yes, the breakout could happen to the downside as well. However, That's of course the theory, but always in order to check that theory, still a breakout is needed. So that's why for now I'm gonna stick to the some of the levels here. So for the downside, I would need to see a drop below the 25.71 territory just to be a little bit more on the safe side. For the upside, yes, a break of this upper side of the triangle would be needed, and then yes, we could maybe consider a move higher. Oil. So the culprit for the energy stocks declining, and of course the transportation stocks. So basically we had a nice drop lower here. We tested this upside line, which is great. This upside line is taken from the low, the 27th of May. So that's yeah, good news. But as you can see, at the moment it's a tricky one because it's very tempting to go short on this one. However, we need to see that break here below this upside line first in order to kind of consider maybe a further decline. So yeah, at the moment I would say let's be very careful here. Let me just recycle some of these lines here. This is what I'm going to capture. So in order to break the upside line, in order to go for the downside, we need to see a break of the upside line, and then yes, we could consider a move towards the 21-day EMA and maybe even lower. But if the price continues to trade above this upside line, then well, I mean, a nice reversal back up could be possible. Quickly, Ethereum, not much to talk about here. Just the fact that it broke the downside line and it's now trying to make its way higher. But as I've mentioned to you yesterday, that even if we break this downside line, I would still prefer to wait for a move above the 2,258.59 territory right here in order to get a little bit more excited with the upside, because as you can see, this level acted as a good area of support and resistance previously. So yeah, a nice good climb above that area could open the door for higher levels. However, still be very careful because maybe this could be seen as just a temporary correction. Because if we start drawing downside lines here, then well, I mean, we could still have this one right here. So maybe actually I would have to draw my arrow here only up until here. And yes, for now, I mean, I will say that I'll be very careful, very cautious, and yep. So for now, I'm going to keep an eye on this level right here. So yeah, at the moment it's a bit of a tricky one here. Although it looks quite tempting to go long here, but wait for some confirmation, guys, and then yes, we could take it from there. A Litecoin. This is the reason why I'm saying that wait for some confirmation, because if you look at some other cryptos, those are kind of struggling still with some of their downside lines, and so then Litecoin is being one of those. So yes, we're having a nice move higher, but this could be seen as a temporary correction for now. So that's why I don't get way too excited on Ethereum as well. So unless we start breaking these downside lines here, for example, in Litecoin and on some other cryptos, then yes, this is where it could become very interesting again for the crypto bulls. ADCHF, very quickly. So I've mentioned this one recently, and basically you can see why it's interesting, because we are still trading very close to this downside line. We had a few overshoots here, but basically so far we're struggling with staying above this downside line, and yeah, I need also actually a push above the 0.6981 territory right here, just to be a little bit more on the safe side with the upside. NZD/USD. So quickly on this one, it's not as a very clear picture, I would say, here on NZD/USD. So we're kind of trading below this downside line, taken from the high of the 27th of May. So in a way, I would say that yeah, we could be a little bit more on the bearish side. But let's say if we take a look at some of these areas here, for example, we can see that we have some support. We're also currently trading above the 200-day EMA, so there's basically still hope here for the buyers. However, to be a little bit more on the safe side, guys, probably wait for a push at least above the high of last week near the 0.7095 territory here, because at the same time we could get a break of this downside line, and yes, more buyers could join in. USD chef, this one's interesting as well, because as you can see, so far the idea that I've talked about recently is working out. We did get a hold up again near this 0.9165 territory yesterday, as you can see. Yep, and we rebounded. So I would say that this all could look like a nice bullish flag. However, if you want to be a little bit on the safe side, guys, probably let's take a different approach here. And if we do consider this as a bullish flag, then, well, a break of this high here is required. So basically a push above the area somewhere around this 0.9240 zone. If we climb above that level, then yes, this will confirm a forthcoming higher high, and potentially more buyers could join in. Oh, actually, by the way, back into USD chef. So, yep, in terms of the downside, that's why my downside scenario is only from around here, below the 0.9094, because at the same time, we would be placed below all of the EMAs on our daily chart. USD CAD. So, looking at this picture, so, yep, the dollar got a boost. Oil drifted lower, and, yep, that's the effect here that we are having. So, the DXY got a slight boost. Oil took its effect, or declining oil had its effect, had its negative effect on the Canadian dollar. So, so yeah, everything kind of is logical here. We managed to break back above this downside line taken from the high of. From the high of the 19th of March of 2020. So, long story short, basically, at the moment, I would say that as long as it stays above this downside line, there is a good chance to see the pair moving higher here. But if it struggles, let's say, to overcome this barrier, the current highest point of June, then, well, I mean, we'll have to just get back to the drawing board and just see what we can do with this one. But at the moment, we're leaning a little bit more towards the upside, so let's see if we can squeeze something out of this. Now, jumping into GBP Aussie, and this one did beautiful rebound here from this upside line taken from the low of the 14th of May. So in a way, there is still positivity on this one. I mean, not to mention that we're still trading above this upside line here. So yep, in other words, for now, I mean, there's a lot of there are a lot of good signs here that we could see a push higher. However, I would actually prefer now to see a move above yesterday's high, just to be a little bit more on the safe side, in order to go for the upside. And 1.8397 territory is the one to watch. So that's why I'm saying that if we get a clear break through that one, then my next target is the 1.8527 here, marked near the highest point of June and marked by the highest point of October of 2020. So now jumping into EURUSD. So here the pair, as you can see, drifted back below the 200-day EMA, and it's now dropping below this hurdle, the one that I talked about yesterday, the 1.1925. And basically for now, I would say that we are kind of a little bit skeptical here in terms of the upside. However, when we have something like this, it's always very unclear what's going to happen. But I would say like this, that as long as it stays below the 1.1925 territory, there is a good indication that we could see a drop to the downside, at least maybe towards the current lowest point of June. But if it suddenly climbs back above the 200-day EMA, then, well, we'll consider this slightly larger correction to the upside. So guys, that's it for this session. I really hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for joining in and watching this one till the end. I really appreciate your views, your likes, your comments, guys. I really do. So thank you very much for that. I hope, like I said, it was useful. If you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, at my Traders Espresso, that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, have your stop losses in place, and everything will be fine. So thank you very much, and bye-bye.